Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. I suppose the best place to start is who are you and sort of why are we here? What's the project you were working on?
Yeah, lovely. Thanks for inviting me, Reese. I am Dominic Powell. I am a writer, composer, and producer, and I've recently released a studio album of Cases, an original musical I've been developing for a few years now. And we were going to have a production last year at the Other Palace. It's cut short by lockdown, but we found a way to release an album.
So how would you describe Casey to someone who hasn't heard of it before?
Yeah. So Cases is a song cycle reminiscent of uh, Edges or Songs for a New World. And it basically explores unforeseen circumstances and unexpected crises we go through in life and explores it in the world of arts and entertainment. So we have four artists who are balancing triumphs, sacrifices, success, failures, and trying to journey through life in this a time where um, they are struggling with eventualities and unforeseen circumstances, similar to sort of where we are now, actually, in the world.
I was just going to say that obviously because the theatre industry currently is under a lot of pressure, especially with everything being closed down. So something that documents the life of artists who are struggling and from issues that are beyond their own control is obviously really powerful, especially right now. So how did you come
Yeah,
up with the idea and how did it grow from there? What was the process of building the
yeah.
album like?
Several inspiration points. I think one of the biggest ones was that I myself was a struggling artist who was trying to survive and trying to find a way to foster creativity in a time where opportunities weren't coming, coming out of university, out of drama school, and not having many opportunities, and trying to carve my own path. So essentially, Cases did stem from my own personal and also secondhand experiences, but also like in that time I was watching a lot of Judge Judy, so that idea of cases and something legal and going through that, like that sort of vibe came. I watched a wonderful piece called Market Boy, a piece of Brechtian theatre. So this idea of actors playing characters, but then also being themselves and breaking the fourth wall and speaking directly to the audience. So those are sort of the kind of major points that kind of amalgamated together to form Cases.
And then, so what was the process of building this cast recording? Because like we talked about, it's a very different situation right now. Um, how was the process of building this album? Like,
Yeah, I think it was a very organic but structured process in the same way. So there had to be some structure because we had to observe a lot of guidelines, in terms of social distancing and cleanliness. So we wanted to schedule artists at a different time. Like I did all the piano on one day, then we did vocals separately, and then we did drums separately, and then we kind of layered in strings and different bits together over like a 3-week process. But within, because unfortunately some of the cast recording had worked in the music before. I think all of them have in varying degrees. So we were quite comfortable with sort of doing obviously a rehearsal just to make sure we were happy with vocals, and then kind of going straight into the booth and just going for it, and being very sensitive in the room, saying if we wanted to change a key or change a little lyric or maybe perform it in a certain way and really collaborate, even though we were always 2 meters apart, just kind of sharing that sense of the same spirit and unity.
it must have been very unusual to hear the parts recorded separately and then put together. Obviously,
Yeah,
when they're created separately with the idea of being played together, but to hear them each on their own must have been very different to other people's experiences of creating albums. You touched on the show as well, that was cut short. What was opening up in the Other Palace like? What was that experience like?
oh, it was. I mean, to be fair, we didn't actually get to open. It was
Oh,
literally the about maybe 10 days before the first show. We actually just about to go into rehearsals. We've done some things, but I think the opportunity in itself is wonderful. Everything the Other Palace does for artists in musical theatre and also diversity as well is such a special thing and quite rare in the UK, where musical theatre development houses aren't necessarily around. So I think getting any opportunity to have a run at the other palace was such a phenomenal opportunity. And I think building on my relationship with the venue, fortunately, the timing was right. There was an opportunity, and yeah, we were planning to do a run, but then
Yeah.
obviously we couldn't open on the 31st of March because we were in lockdown.
I know you talked about the collaborative element, as creatives, when you go in, you're building a show, obviously you have your vision of what you want it to look like and feel like. So what was it, how different was it taking on the actors' ideas? And, obviously you kept to your basic idea, but used them for inspiration. What was that collaborative journey like?
It was special, very, very special. I think what's wonderful is that some of the experiences that are in the show are very, very close to what we're experiencing now. So, for example, Waylon was doing a wonderful, one-man show, Peter Pan, and getting wonderful reviews and was excelling as an artist. And then because of Tier 4, had to cut on Boxing Day. So when he sings Hoi Polloi, he understands that process of having success or having an opportunity, but then something happening, which kind of, so I think in that sort of collaboration, there were ideas, there were certain, if we're going really technical, different, ways of producing a sound in terms of a belt or a falsetto, that I just wanted to make sure it was authentic to each artist's voices. And there were some things where I was like, we might stick to the score. But then there were other moments where we're like, no, let's have a play and let's just explore. And because at the end of the day, I want it to sound all authentic. And I would love the artists to bring their own truth, their own stories to it. So it was very, very key to create that environment where we explored.
Yeah, I know that obviously there's fantastic actors who can portray, anything, and they have the ability to take on a character. But when there's that sense of authenticity or honesty behind it, it's just so much more powerful. And the audience can, they can tell, they can feel that there's a difference there. So
Yeah.
I know you talked about obviously it being closed early, but what's next for the show? What's in the show's future? What are the plans at the moment?
Oh, watch this space. We have got an exciting student production of Cases that is going to be happening at some point soon. So keep your eyes out for that. We also are planning some form of Cases being accessed. That's all I can say at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're just at the moment, we're obviously being mindful of the roadmap that the government have kind of laid out and just seeing when might be the best time to kind of showcase or provide a platform for cases, whether that's in a live or another digital format. So yeah, we're definitely pursuing like professional runs.
And you obviously said about keeping your eyes peeled, but where can people stay up to date with the show? Where can they follow what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. You can head over to Instagram or Twitter at Cases London, so at Cases and then LDN, Instagram and Twitter. Or you can go to a website for my company, which is Pioneer Arts, so pioneerarts.co.uk/cases.
So to kind of finish with, I know obviously this show has been taken. It was like we talked about, closed early due to the global situation. But do you have any words of wisdom or advice for people who are currently going through a similar thing? How what sort of advice would you give new theatre creatives right now?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say self-care is important.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you're looking after yourself, that you're talking to the right people, that you're surrounding yourself with the best circle, you have a support network around you, whether that is family or friends, or if you're by yourself, make sure you are reaching out. I think that's the most important thing, because we are human beings, not human doings. So let's make sure our being is well before we do anything. That's also my one thing. And then also just keep finding avenues to create. Like there's new software, there's new technologies, there's new things that are coming out every week and new social media platforms. So think about ways you can generate, whether that's a line, a verse, a chorus, doesn't have to be a full piece, but just find ways to create and write and journal your experience. Observe everything and see how you can translate what you're living through or what you've seen on Twitter or something or a film you watch, how you can translate that into a story that you can tell in your own voice, in your own way at this time.
I think obviously that self-care is very important, because I'm hopeful the theatre will return one day, whether it's tomorrow, next week. It will. I'm hopeful it'll return at some point, but it's our own
Yeah.
health and well-being that we have to look after right now. But also, like you said, there are brand new ways of being creative. I've seen, we've seen online productions, we've seen more interactive, shows that we would never have experienced otherwise. So there are lots of new ways to create and continue that, your passion for whether it's set design, show construction, whatever.
Yeah.
We've got new ways now to explore that. So absolutely, I totally agree with you. So thank you very much for taking the time out. Obviously, my review is available online, and I will put the links to all, the website and social media onto the description. But also, obviously, it's available on the actual.
It's the cast studio cast recording is available on all major music platforms. So whether it's Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, all sorts. It's available everywhere. So yeah, download or stream.
So there's no excuses not to give it a listen.
No excuse. Everywhere.
So thank you very much. And like I said, I'll put all the links and stuff into the description. But yeah, thank you very much, and I shall speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye bye.